Good evening, this is the New Dawn FM News in English, read to you by Lucius Laukai. First, the headlines. Calls to support and strengthen efforts in the fight against COVID-19. Need for sectors to provide support plans in the fight against COVID-19. Parliament debates extension of state of emergency. State of emergency controller warns illegal border crosses to stop. Emergency response team training continues. And Kokopau Community Government wants all activities to be ceased. The priority objective of the Autonomous Bougainville Government, ABG, is to keep all people, households and business afloat, says Honorable President Grand Chief Dr. John Mommis. The President told the House of Representatives today that extraordinary times require extraordinary measures. He said the economic policy should meet people's most immediate health, food, and basic needs, protect social cohesion, and maintain political and economic stability. Local governments are at the front line of the epidemic, but their capacity to respond rapidly depends heavily on the governance context and the financial health of the local government and its budgetary authority, he said. President Mommis said the ABG has adopted a constituency approach in dealing with the COVID-19 awareness and countermeasures and urged that this approach is strengthened to support efforts of the Bougainville Police. He said this must be a community-driven fight against the COVID-19 menace. According to the Honorable President, Grand Chief Dr. John Mommis, the ABG Department of Health, as the lead agency, has activated its preparedness and emergency response mechanism and its emergency response team. The emergency response team is made up of key personnel and stakeholders that are responsible for key actions and prevention measures. President Mommis said with possible extension of the state of emergency in Bougainville, the social, economic and security sectors need to provide their support plans to the health department in the fight against COVID-19. He said Bougainvilleans cannot continue to spectate, complain and blame others while people are dying. Honorable Mommis called on the Bougainvilleans to stand up and join the government and fight against the COVID-19. He said Bougainvilleans should be reminded that the virus does not discriminate between people, and therefore it is crucial that the people in the region act in a responsible manner. The special session of the Bougainville House of Representatives this afternoon had extensive debate regarding the presentations by the ABG President, Grand Chief Dr. John Mommis, and the Minister for Health, Dennis Lokonai, to extend the state of emergency for further 2 months. Nearly all members supported the move to extend the state of emergency for 2 months to make sure Bougainville continues to restrict movement of people, ships and planes from coming to Bougainville. Whilst many members talked about different issues regarding the state of emergency, 6 members, the member for Titalato Fidelis Semoso, the women's member representing women of North Bougainville, Francisca Semoso, the member for Taunita Timputs, David Brown, the member for Motunahoyono Tokonudui, Albert Punga, the Minister for Finance, Robin Wilson, and the Vice President, Raymond Masono, mentioned the need to assess the situation and allow the ABG election to proceed this year. They said, meanwhile, it was a matter of life and death, and the state of emergency must continue. Many members discussed ways to relax the sales of garden foods so that the people continue to have food during this period. The member for Lule, Joseph Naboy, suggested that the ABG support people who are doing nothing in towns to be repatriated back to their homes. The motion to extend the state of emergency will be voted by Parliament tomorrow. You're listening to New Dawn FM News in English. State of Emergency Controller and Bougainville Police Commissioner, Deputy Commissioner Police Francis Tokura, strongly warned illegal border crossers to stop coming into the region from other provinces and countries. He made his warning after a reported case of some Bougainvillean employees of Lihir mine who sought at Kesa Aku village, North Bougainville, who came through the Nizan waters by boat. He said all mine sites are red-coded. That means they had confirmed COVID-19 case, and since mining is a fly-in, fly-out policy, people from all over the world are residing in these areas. Commenting on this case, State of Emergency Deputy Controller Thomas Rivet said, as per that mine sites are red-coded, people coming from these places should be quarantined within 14 days. Mr. Tokura appealed to the Lihir mine workers who illegally entered Bougainville source to seek medical checkup as soon as possible to be sure they are COVID-19 free. Mr. Tokura also requested to the local people from Kesa and people living along Bougainville coastlines to cooperate with the task force and report quickly similar cases in the future. He said police officers will now be based at Kesa to stop boats coming from Nissan that are bringing Lihir mine workers to Bougainville. The South Bougainville COVID-19 Preparedness and Emergency Response Coordinating Team continued its training and sensitization of key personnel and stakeholders as it prepares the southern region to counter the deadly coronavirus. Last Thursday, the response team conducted a training of trainers workshop for officers in charge of all health establishments in the southern region and continued on Friday with sensitization of stakeholders that included ABG constituency members, community government chairmen, ward members also from the southern region, as well as members of the small business community in Buin Town, educating and delivering correct and vital information on the coronavirus to the health workers and stakeholders. The coordinating response team emphasized the importance of ensuring the correct and true information is disseminated to the people. It warned that there had been so much information about the pandemic on social media, some of which are misinformation and incorrect, which could create confusion, chaos that could trigger law and order issues. ABG and community government leaders were reminded of their duty to ensure that people attend awareness programs conducted by the response team so that they could receive correct and true information. The response coordination team also pointed out that Buin Hospital, as well as other health facilities in the region and the country, do not have the capacity to contain the coronavirus, but one effective way of fighting it was to prevent it from infecting and spreading to people, hence the people must be adequately educated on the right preventive measures. The training and sensitization workshops were phase one of the Response Coordinators Team Awareness Program, Over the next 14 days, the team will embark on an intensive awareness program through visits to communities while continuing its surveillance along the border areas. The team is therefore appealing to ABG members and community government chairmen for their support and cooperation for a holistic approach in the awareness activities. To end the news, Chairman of the Kokopau Community Government and Lord Mayor of Political Boundaries and Jurisdiction Hilary Chuno, in addition to state of emergency restrictions, declared that all activities within the town must be ceased. As a concerned leader, he made the restrictions in his constituency after a reported confirmed case of COVID-19 in East New Britain province yesterday. He said social movements and economic activities within Kokopau town must stop, as well as sanction of all influx of movement from point A, B, and point C and D. Honorable Chuno said all internal movements, including arrival from other districts around or within the constituency, should be minimized to certain cases of importance such as sick and moving dead bodies. He is also directing the general public who are residing in the town area to return to their respected villages as part of isolation process until the case COVID-19 is medically under control. He urged the people to live up to follow restrictions and ensure that there is a healthy environment that is free from the deadly worldwide disease. This has been the New Dawn FM News in English. You can also share our news on the website on www.bougainvillenews.com, www.bougainville.typepad.com. You can also follow us on Facebook and Twitter. On behalf of the news team, I'm Aloysius Laukai. You have a pleasant evening.